It's time for Around the Ozarks News, brought to you by the Springfield-Greene County Park Board, Blue Current, and Thompson Sales. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Sarah Foreheads.
Good morning to you on Tuesday. Hope you're having a good week, and we are, maybe it's the first day of the week for some folks, first day of the work week at least. So welcome to the world, and let's do some news.
All right. President Trump quickly got to work following his swearing-in ceremony yesterday. He is the first president to be elected to 2 non-consecutive terms since the 1890s. So that is unique. In his inaugural speech, he declared a national emergency at the southern border. He will reinstitute his Remain in Mexico policy that Biden ended, and said he will declare drug cartels who are bringing in deadly drugs, including fentanyl, as terrorist organizations.
Yeah.
He also signed a series of executive orders and actions, and did so in front of about 20,000 people at the arena indoors where the inaugural parade took place instead of outside. Everything was inside as the swearing in for the first time in 40 years because of those dangerously cold temperatures. We have them here too. I think the feels like this morning was -3 degrees. So watch out for that. Yeah. So because of the change in plans and a much smaller space, Missouri State's Pride Band, as we told you, was not able to perform as previously scheduled. They were headed home. The band left early yesterday morning to drive back to Springfield, should be arriving early this morning.
Yeah, what a bummer for them that they were all scheduled to play in that inaugural parade, and then, man, the weather.
Yeah, they did have some bands inside the Capital One Arena, but a much smaller band and smaller crowds.
Yeah, it was a much smaller parade as well.
Or parade, I should say.
Yeah, went in a circle around the floor of the arena. I saw 2 or 3 bands, but yeah, you can't have many more than that because it would be loud in there, I'd imagine. Former president now, Biden, meanwhile, left office under a cloud of controversy and suspicion. A lot of people not happy about this. With just about 20 minutes left as president, he issued blanket pardons to cover any crimes for Anthony Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, former Senator Liz Cheney, members of the January 6th committee, investigative committee, and 5 members of his own family, his siblings and their spouses, which is odd. The pardons went against the advice of prominent Democrats, including Bill Clinton, and even against Biden's own statements. As he was taking office in 2021, Biden said issuing preemptive pardons concerned him about the precedent it sets and how the world would look at the nation of laws and justice. But that is what he did in his final act, even though no one he pardoned was being investigated, which is the odd part to me.
Yeah. Very strange. Okay, well, back here in Springfield, we now know who will be on the ballot running for seats on the Springfield Public School Board of Education. Candidates have been certified and turned in at the Greene County Clerk's office, and voters will choose candidates for 2 seats. Candidates are incumbent board member Kelly Byrne, Sarah Huff from Bass Pro Shops, David Myers from Ozarks Aero Works, and volunteer Gail Smart. So 2 seats to be filled. The election is April 8th.
Yeah, it's coming up. I'm ready for April. I don't know about you. 33 big cats were just moved from Florida to an animal sanctuary in Arkansas. The cats are now being housed at Turpentine Creek Wildlife Refuge in Eureka Springs. They came from Big Cat Rescue in Tampa, Florida, which may sound familiar to you if you watch Tiger King on Netflix. And during COVID, I think everybody watched Tiger King on Netflix. So you'll remember the Big Cat Rescue, and you're going to remember these names as well, because that's the facility owned by, wait for it, Howard and Carol Baskins. Yeah. And they just sold the land there in Florida for almost $20 million. So it will no longer be a big cat rescue. Carol Baskins. Jury in Florida, meanwhile, found CNN liable of defamation. The U.S. Navy veteran, a U.S. Navy veteran, sued CNN, claiming a story they did in 2021 destroyed his business by showing his face on screen in a story, claiming that some people were they called it a black market, that they were charging a very high price to smuggle out desperate Afghans after the Taliban took over Afghanistan. The trial featured messages from the reporter who said profane and very negative things about the Navy veteran as the story was going on. The veteran won $5 million in compensatory damages and an undisclosed amount in punitive damages.
Wow. Okay.
That doesn't happen often for news organizations to be found guilty of that.
Yeah, defamation is an interesting proof too. But if anyone is interested, this is kind of an interesting little journalism law for you. Reporters are held to libel, not slander. So there you go. Fun little fact for you. You would think that, television journalists would be held to slander because it is a spoken word, but you are actually held to what you write, not what you speak out loud. Just in case you flubub your speech, which I've done that before, like where you forget to say the word not, or something.
In front of guilty?
Well, not that's like a little, surely you're not going to forget
that's a big one.
Like I used to. That's a big one. That's a big one. But, you can leave out a word sometimes and not even realize you do it. Such as whatever I call Brightwood Ice Park. Isn't that what I called it last night instead of
Brightwood? Yeah, Brightwood. It's Bright Speed.
Yeah. Bright Speed. But I had it written correctly. So there you go. That's the standard. So if you care anything about media law, which I do, I think it's fascinating. That's all. Okay, moving on. Locally based Big Whiskey's is expanding into Florida. It will open its first ever location in Davie, Florida, which is near Miami this month. 3 locations will be coming to Florida in the near future. Big Whiskey's is based in Ozark and now has 18 locations.
Okay, good for them.
Yes.
Good for them. They did have one in Las Vegas for some
Oh, is that right? I didn't know they had one there.
I don't know if it's still there, though. I think it maybe is not, but I'm not positive of that. No doubt this extremely cold weather has you wishing for spring. That certainly has me wishing for spring. Pineapple Whip is ready for it. So it's holding its 11th annual Whip Solstice this week. You can get a Pineapple Whip from noon to 10:30 in the p.m. tomorrow through Sunday. Only at the South Campbell location. They do have one at the movie theater downtown as well. That's open year round. But the only other satellite location is the Campbell location. And even better, they're going to turn it into a drive-through so you don't have to get out of your car in the cold.
That is smart because you can eat ice cream, or in this case, like whip, as long as you don't have to stand in the cold. But if you have heated seats, you can do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Happy back to work day for most people. I think a lot of people were off yesterday, but not the case. So enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you back here tomorrow morning.
Yep. Indeed, we will. See you.
It's time for Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather, sponsored by Command Family Medicine and John's Heating and Air. Here's your host, meteorologist Abby Dyer.
Good morning, everybody. It is a cold morning out there. In fact, we have a cold weather advisory to kick things off on this Tuesday. Back to work, back to school for many across the Ozarks today. And I want to urge you to bundle up. Grab the thickest coat you have. You need all the winter layers with you. You can't even skip out on gloves and a hat for the kiddos. It's too cold to be outside for any duration of time without all that protective gear covering any exposed skin. Temperatures this morning anywhere from 0 to 5 across the Ozarks as of 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's not going to get a whole lot better through the course of the afternoon. I've got sunshine in the forecast today, but it's not going to do us a whole lot of good. We warm up into the teens and low 20s across the region for highs today. It will be an incredibly cold day once again. The wind won't be too strong, but any breeze at all just adds to how cold it feels outside, and I'm expecting a wind chill to remain in the teens teens even through the peak heating hours of the day. And of course, we've got those sub-zero wind chills out early this morning. High pressure is going to be sinking into the middle part of the country, and that's what's bringing the cold. We've got snowpack all up on the northern tier of the country. Incredibly cold temperatures up there. We also have a winter storm happening down along the southern portion of the United States to kick off the new week, and it's just going to be kind of cold, blustery everywhere, not just in the Ozarks, but all across the country. We are dealing with extreme cold. Cold weather advisory with morning low temperatures in the single digits and highs only expected to make it to the teens today. Minimum wind chills anywhere from -5 to -15. So this is not something to mess around with. We could be talking about frostbite, hypothermia in these types of temperatures. Another thing to maybe be concerned about is that you might want to check the pipes, make sure that if you didn't drip the faucets last night, that everything's okay, because this is the kind of cold that can make the pipes freeze and break in some places. It's going to be a concern. So dress in layers, cover any exposed skin if you have to be out today. And of course, limit your time outdoors, which I know is kind of hard to do this time of year. We're all going a little bit stir crazy. Mostly dry through the work week. That's at least the good news. We have the cold, but we don't have the snow to come with it. That's all heading to the northern tier of the country and the south, well south of our region as low pressure slides south of the country. Temperatures will slowly return to normal this week. We will know what it feels like to be 40 degrees again. We've just got to wait for those numbers to get here. And my hunch is that doesn't happen for us until the end of the work week as we get closer to the weekend. Today, highs are going to be really cold, teens and 20s. It's better tomorrow with highs back into the 30s, lows still well below freezing tonight, but it'll at least be in the 20s tomorrow morning when we wake up. Lows stay fairly cold for us all week long, but high temperatures get better. We could be back into the low 40s on Thursday. I think we're in the 40s on Friday, and we could even see some 50s in the forecast by the weekend. Another cold front, though, will knock our temperatures down probably again on Sunday, and there's at least a 25% chance for rain returning for us both Saturday and Sunday. At this point, that does look like it will fall as rain as the warmer temperatures are in place. So there's some good news for us, too. Around the country, it is another active week. In fact, there are cold weather headlines in about 43 of the lower 48 states. Yeah, we're not alone in this cold snap. It's out there for everybody across the country. Also of concern this week, the Santa Ana winds, they increase again. This means incredibly critical fire weather conditions picking up again for Southern California. And we also have this rare winter storm bringing heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain to the Gulf Coast. Unusual for our friends down south to get this type of wintry weather, and they're not quite equipped to handle it like some of us in the Midwest and the northern states. So things may be shut down a little bit on the Gulf Coast as they deal with some heavy snow, which isn't often the case. If they get snow at all, it's typically not adding up, and we're talking 6 to 8 inches across parts of Louisiana, which is really a rare winter storm. All right, it's time for the Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather Brain Twister trivia question for the day. Which U.S. president gave the longest inaugural speech in history? Do you think it was A, Donald Trump, B, Joe Biden, C, William Harrison, or D, Martin Van Buren? Well, if they haven't seemed too long in recent past, you are not incorrect. The correct answer is C, William Harrison. That is the longest inaugural speech in history, not only in time, but also in word count. It was 1841. His speech was the longest, clocking in at 8,460 words and taking him an hour and 45 minutes to deliver that speech on a particularly blustery day that was not moved indoors. He died exactly 1 month into his presidency of pneumonia. The results of the cold, many believed, were being caught outside on the day of his swearing in. I don't know. That's never been proven. It's just kind of what folks were speculating. His speech was nearly 3,000 words longer than the runner-up, William Taft, who incidentally was the only person who has both taken and administered the presidential oath. If you are curious about other long speeches, Harrison and Taft top the list. James Polk also had a rather long speech. Benjamin Harrison, Calvin Coolidge, William McKinley, all of them in history. As the more modern years have come along, the speeches have gotten a bit shorter. If you are curious, President Trump's speech yesterday was just 2,885 words, quite a bit shorter than William Harrison's 8,460. But congrats. If C was your guess, William Harrison still has the longest inaugural speech in history. Here's your question that I'll leave you with for tomorrow. 50-50 shot for you. True or false? It cannot snow if the temperature is above freezing. Do you think that is true or false? You can let me know your guess. That's at aroundtheozarks.com. Thank you so much for listening this morning. I hope everybody stays warm today. Thank you to our sponsors, John's Heating and Air. Very important job to heat all of these homes on this blustery cold day, and Command Family Medicine to deal with the illnesses coming with the winter season. Thank you to our sponsors, and thank you for listening early this morning. I'll be back to chat with you tomorrow. Stay warm today, friends. We are under that cold weather advisory until noon today with highs in the teens and 20s. We'll chat again tomorrow.